Hey, Wally.
Hey, good morning. Good Erev Shabbos. Chodesh Tov to everybody. Very often I get my topics for our discussions from questions that people ask me. And a little while ago, I was asked a question by Nathan if he could take a gel cap, medication that is in a gelatin enclosed capsule. And we've had gelatin capsules around for a long time. Sometimes there are substitutes. Sometimes they're only available in a gel cap form. So I wanted to present a little bit about the history of gelatin. Before that, I just want to get into a basic concept that we should all understand, is that in the, in the pre-industrialized world, nothing was let to go to waste. Everything that could be used from an animal was used because that's what they had. And they imagined all kinds of different uses and purposes for different things. If you go into a slaughterhouse, for example, I'm not encouraging you to do that. It's a gross experience. But nevertheless, since our meat doesn't always come to us ready wrapped in plastic, you have to see where it comes from. When the animal is slaughtered, every bit of it is used. The skin is ripped off and sent to one place. The bones are sent someplace else. The blood, interesting, the blood is saved because in some places, blood pudding is a delicacy. If you let the blood congeal, it's like chocolate pudding. In any event, animal bones, somebody made the discovery that if you take animal bones, which you can't eat, and you crush them up into a powder, and you mix them in with water, and you add a little color or flavoring, you have something called Jello. It's an amazing invention. And that's where our Jello comes from. So the question is, if you take animal bones from non-kosher animals and you reconstitute it into a powder and then make it into the gelatin, is it kosher? Can we eat it? Does it still retain its fleishic and non-kosher situation in terms of being treif? And then, of course, you had the bright idea of a company called Kogel, which arose, I think, in the late 40s, early 50s, where they made gelatin from kosher animal bones. And there the only question was whether it's considered fleishic or not, which is a separate discussion related to our whole discussion now. So there's a lot of interesting history behind gelatin. Gelatin is used not just for Jello, but of course we know it's used in ice cream, it's used in marshmallows, it's used in many, many food products. And of course, the gelatin capsules, many, many medications are in gelatin capsules, what they call gel caps or capsules. Now, before we even get started, we have to make the distinction that if it's a question of illness, a serious illness, there's no question at all. That goes without saying. If a person needs to take a medicine for health reasons and it's only available in the gel cap, then all bets are off. If you have options, that's what we're talking about. But let's understand where it comes from. What's the status of this product that is extracted? You take bones. And by the way, I remember many, many years ago, we had this discussion in our Shiur with Rav Aaron Soloveitchik, and he looked into it and he said, it's not only bones that are being used, but sometimes there's bits of non-kosher meat because the bones aren't thoroughly cleaned. So that's another issue. But if you take skin and connective tissue and bones and you make gelatin out of it, and the powder that results from it is inedible by itself, it's been treated with acid and then evaporated. It's a whole chemical process. Does a product that goes through a chemical process, which renders it totally unlike the original process or product, what's its status? There is a category, when you study Yoredeya, there's a category called choser veneer. Choser veneer means when something is hydrated. If you have a powder and you add water to it, does it come back to its original status? That's choser veneer. Does it reawaken, so to speak, into its original treif status? So basically, there are earlier sources. The Rambam says if you eat from a non-kosher skin or bones or sinews or horns or hoofs or nails, it's usur, but if you do eat it, you're exempt from punishment because these are not normally fit for consumption. So if you eat something that's not considered edible, then you're patur. And he also indicates that midrabanan certainly these things should be the usur. On the other hand, Tosfos, which is again, Rambam is Sephardic authority, Tosfos is Ashkenazic. The Rambam the Tosfos rather is much more machmir, and he quotes an interesting practice. We talked about honey once before, why honey is considered kosher, but sometimes in the early manufacture process of honey, you have bees' legs that's tiny little filament of a leg, which you can call it, that get mixed in with the honey, and people were not makpid. People would eat honey, even these little bees' legs in it, and Rabbeinu Tam explains it that these are like bones, very, very thin bones, and therefore it might be permitted, and it's not considered in the prohibition of eating bees. So apparently there's no prohibition to eat bones of non-kosher animals, according to those authorities. Again, we're not talking about thick bones, but again, they make the analogy. Let's fast forward now to the contemporary period. In the when manufacturing process became much more industrialized, so you have in the 19th and 20th century a number of poskim who addressed this issue. They tried to reconcile the different opposing views of the Rishonim, but it comes into two camps: those who are lenient and those who are obviously strict. Rav Moshe Feinstein, Rav Aaron Kotler. Those are the ones that are much more strict in their ruling about gelatin produced from non-kosher animal bones, which is where most gelatin comes from today. On the other hand, some of these Sephardic poskim are a little bit more lenient, and they base their stock on the opinion of Rabbeinu Yonah that's quoted by the Rush, which talks about certain food substances that originated from blood, perhaps, but it changed its format and so forth. Even though he may have some reservations about it, there are two schools of thought. From Chaim Ozer in the late 19th, early 20th century, they are a little bit more lenient, but they're not always certain of how the old process and the new process kind of jive. This is not something, he says, that when you make gelatin from bones, it's not something new that has changed from one form into another via a chemical process. Basically, most of the poskim in America that we follow come down on the stricter side, and we don't follow Rabbeinu Yonah's lenient ruling. Another perspective is that in the processing of gelatin, it's basically inedible. And when something is inedible, it loses its status as not being kosher. Interestingly enough, on Pesach, we are much more machmir. Pesach, we said, chametz has to be nifsal me'achilas kelev. It has to be so disgusting not even a dog would eat it. Whereas in terms of the other issues that we're dealing with, it's only something that is unedible in terms of human consumption. The Ramah in Shulchan Aruch quotes the Shibboleth Leket that, again, people didn't waste anything. Stomach lining, which is sometimes dried and salted and becomes hard, is permissible because it's no longer considered a food and it doesn't have any meat in it. In fact, people used to take stomachs of animals, dry them out completely, and use it as a sack for milk. And it was considered to be acceptable. So you have this divergence of opinion where something is no longer fit for human consumption or even edible at all. Does it lose its status or does it retain any of its status? And this is the whole question of gelatin. Pretty much two schools of thought, as we said, although we'll see in the end that there are really four schools of thought. The rehydration part is a very important part. There was a fascinating, interesting discussion, and I have had trouble tracing it down. There was a practice in German and Polish Jewry at one time, during the time of the Node Yehuda, which is 17th century. They would prepare a drink, and the drink had the gullet, the dried out gullet of a non-kosher fish would be put into this drink to settle the sediments and make the drink clear. So taking a non-kosher fish, dried out, putting it into a drink, which might hydrate it, to clear it out, make it potable. And nobody seemed to bother this. Or Chashulchan said it's okay. The Ritva. So apparently there's enough legitimate opinion to be lenient in certain of these situations. Basically, without going into all the details about the difference between Europe and Israel and America, there are four different opinions that emerge regarding gelatin. First of all, it's inedible during manufacture. Rav Tzvi Pesach Frank, the former chief rabbi of Jerusalem, said it's permissible regardless of its origin once it becomes inedible. Rav Henkin, who was the posek before Rav Moshe Feinstein in America, Rav Henkin says it's permissible because it comes from hard bones. Rav Moshe Feinstein says, well, we're not so sure because of the suffix. So Rav Moshe Feinstein says it's usur. And Rav Aaron Kotler, another great gadol from the mid-20th century, also says that it's forbidden. So in America, we normally follow Rav Moshe Feinstein or Rav Aaron Kotler, that we don't use non-kosher gelatin. Whereas there are forms of gelatin. There's something called kosher gelatin. You can make gelatin from plant sources. You can make it from seaweed, agar agar. It's a little bit more expensive, but kosher gelatin is produced that way. Also, Rav Aaron Kotler raised an interesting issue. He says, can you have a status of kosher or non-kosher if something is inedible? Bones, ground up bone powder is inedible. But then he quotes the rabbinic concept. And there are so many, when you learn Yoreh De'ah, there are so many conceptual frameworks to try to put things into. There's something called achshave. Achshave means you are giving something a status as food by doing something to it. Does that render it non-kosher? So there are many, many different spakos, and it pretty much comes down to America versus Israel. Israel is much more lenient. Gel caps, however, taken for medicinal purposes, are in the opinion of most Rabbanim, if there's no suitable alternative available, then gel caps or gelatin caps are certainly permissible. And much of our medicines today are gelatin-based or in a capsule. There are a couple of pharmaceuticals that produce kosher vitamins, kosher pills, medications. It's not complete, but if you want to be very, very careful and makpid about it, I think Frida Pharmaceuticals, I bet the other one, there are a couple of drug companies that manufacture gelatin from plant or seaweed.
Sogar also, Wally.
What's that?
Sogar.
So there are products out there that are available if you want to be machmir, but clearly Achshave doesn't apply to medicine according to almost everybody, and gel caps under those circumstances would be acceptable. Let's put it that way. Recommended,
Wally,
not, but certainly acceptable. The final psak.
Wally,
Yes.
I don't see why there's any question with medicine because you're swallowing it whole, so it's not considered eating.
Yeah, well, that certainly plays into it also, but it may not be eating, but you are consuming it. There's a difference between eating and consumption. You're not eating it in a normal way, so that's another heter to apply. But you are taking something and swallowing it and consuming it and bringing it into your system. So it may not be eating, but it's certainly consumption. The last word on it, I mean, it's still an open discussion and people are still debating it, although it's been pretty much settled already. Rav Hershel Schachter quotes his Rebbe, Rav Soloveitchik, that it is permissible to consume gelatin-coated capsules. Rav Waldenberg, Tzitz Eliezer, also agrees. He was a great medical posek in Jerusalem. And Rav Schachter also says that he believes that even if it's for a mild michush ba'alma, how do you translate a minor pain or minor discomfort, it's permitted to take a gel cap. Obviously, if you have an alternative and you have a kosher medication available that does not contain non-kosher ingredients, then according to the Ramah, you should make a reasonable effort to try to get it. But other than that, the preponderance of authorities, even though Rav Moshe and Rav Aaron Kotler were machmir for a variety of halachic reasons, Rav Soloveitchik, Rav Schachter, and other gedolim seem to allow it. So when you're dealing with medical issues, that's number one. And number two, the status of what happens to these things once it's already been ground up into a powder and it's no longer considered a food or edible by itself, that will all militate in favor of us allowing gelatin or gelatin-filled capsules. You still shouldn't go out and eat Jell-O, though. If you want to eat Jell-O, you should eat Kogel or some other kosher brand of Jell-O. Anyhow, I just wanted to share that. Hopefully, Nathan, that answers your question.
Thank you, Wally.
Any other questions, comments, critiques?
No, you can ask.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sure.
Hi, Claire.
Gummies. There's a vitamin I take, it only comes in a gummy.
That's fine. It's the same
It's the
thing.
same?
That's fine.
Yeah,
The gummy and the gelatin capsule, it's the same.
it's the same concept, right?
Yeah. Same concept, not a problem.
Yeah, thanks.
Omega-3.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, stay healthy. Don't need medication if you can avoid it.
Kodesh Tov.
A
Good.
wonderful Shabbos. Great meal.
Thank
You, Wally. Good Shabbos.
Take care.
Good Shabbos,
Shabbos,
Kodesh Tov.
Good
Hi,
Shabbos.
Janusz.
Janusz, where's your hat?
No. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Where is Yanish and where is Jay?
I
Yeah.
think in Krakow.
You're in Krakow. Good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah,
Wow.
Wow.
Jay and Claire enjoy
We're all
Krakow. Enjoy
Krakow.
being with our friend Yanis.
yeah. And me, more
Have a
than
good
most
Shabbos.
people are enjoying his apartment, almost 11-foot ceilings. Can I?
Oh, yeah, you can see.
All right.
Jay, is that tall enough for you?
That's great. Be good. Have a great Shabbos.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Shabbos with Chodesh. All right.